Let's go. Nerd shit time. Before we get started with this video, because every time I see these right wing grifting hack dipshits talk about some, especially modern superhero media going woke or something like that, or when they say anime isn't woke and that's why it's better or whatever. But this shit burns me a lot because as a big comic book and superhero fan, I know, especially Marvel and DC too, we'll talk about that while we're at it since we're here, has always been woke and has never galvanized or preached the political predilections of centrism, right wing thought, or fascism. Because preaching shit like that is not only stupid upon itself, but it does not make good art. What am I talking about? First of all, Marvel has always been anti-fascist, has criticized the military-industrial complex and militarism, and if you really think about some of his stories, has been anti-capitalist. What stories are you talking about? Do you read the comic book? Well, we can talk about how Captain America's first comic book, my favorite superhero is Captain America, not Black Panther. Woo, I know. Was him punching Hitler. And then the rest of his comic book run was him fighting the Nazi Red Skull in the Nazi organization Hydra, with or without the Avengers, depending on what time period of comic books that you're reading. Then we can also talk about the Hulk, who was written as a foil, as a criticism of militarism and ignorance about, trying to create weaponry and trying to destroy things instead of talking to things or people and coming to an agreement or an agreement to disagree. Fucking Iron Man's entire story with the military and industrial complex was anti-capitalist, and Elon Musk is not Tony Stark. He's fucking Justin Hammer, the hack wannabe. He's a hack wannabe piece of shit. But yeah, Tony Stark being a victim of his own weapons of war and seeing other people being victims of his weapons of war, seek to distance himself from the military industrial complex and help the world with his mind in other healthy ways. Literally said in the movie that he can do things other than make things blow up. And we can go on this tangent all day about Marvel or DC, because in DC we can talk about every single Batman villain, mental health, poverty, crises. We can talk about the entire fucking Static Shock show where he had an episode literally where he dealt with with Richie's racist father and what have you. And we could talk about fucking Superman being treated as an immigrant, not wanted where he was and where he's at and stuff like that. We could talk about Marvel again with Peter Parker not being able to, have enough money to keep himself afloat while trying to be a superhero, constantly getting fired and, laid off and what have you. So, yeah, Marvel comic books, and I guess to some extent DC, we are bringing in here to talk about it, have never been pro right-wing politics. Because like I said in my previous video when I was covering that Hunter Avalon shit, I guess you can say this is why it doesn't make good art, because right-wing politics, racism, sexism, homophobia, the worship of the strong is very fucking weak and stupid. And nobody wants to read a comic book about us worshiping America to love America for whiteness or straightness or whatever the fuck else that these or any other motherfuckers be talking about. It's ridiculous, and I really wish that these motherfuckers would stop doing this and actually go pick up a comic book and read one for once. Without further ado, Tim Pool with Jackass Eric July. I noticed Tim Pool lately ain't been letting on people that disagree with him since Emma gave him that ass kicking a few months back.
.com and purchase our new hit, Together Again.
Man, I would never listen to your music, bro. Like
Infinity War, I feel like is a
that was a true ending.
Yeah, not Endgame. Mm-hmm. The Infinity War, because Endgame was just like member berries. We're gonna bring all the characters together. We're all gonna hold hands and sing songs about everything we did together. Have a nice day.
I don't get with him. I didn't even watch the Infinity crap, the movies, because I'm such a.
Oh my god! See, right here we got why punks don't like hippies. We got the hippie Nazi right wing or woken dipshit motherfucker right here. Like, he has the perfect aesthetic of why 1980s punk started as a fucking movement and why people do not like fucking hippies, bro. Go take a fucking bath, you fascist dipshit.
So obsessed with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like, why did they not introduce Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer?
Don't get me started, man. That was one of the biggest drop.
They couldn't introduce him because they did not own the rights to these characters at the time, and they had to work out deals with Fox and Sony in order to get certain characters. They barely got Spider-Man, so that's why. Plus, the MCU has not covered the story, which is coming up soon, of the Fantastic Four. So in turn, they could not introduce the Silver Surfer or any other cosmic type heroes or villains without first not that they couldn't like visit them, but it's just like it doesn't make sense to have a Silver Surfer with no Fantastic Four.
Imagine that, bringing in. They also brought in Thanos' brother after Infinity, after the Infinity Gauntlet
Thanos'
arc was
brother?
complete. Yeah, they brought him.
In the MCU?
Yeah, he's Star Fox or whatever it is. I don't know what version.
I just haven't been
I think
watching
they
it.
introduced him in. It might have been Eternals. I didn't see it, right? But they introduced him.
Eros.
Eros.
Star Fox.
Star Fox. Yeah. So I don't know if they call him Eros or Star
that's
Fox. I'm
Thanos'
not sure.
brother.
Yeah, that's Thanos' brother.
That movie's
When the fuck? What the fuck are they talking about? Whatever.
sucked.
But but no, that's what I'm talking about. That's the type of layups it is that frustrates me so much, because that's the obvious thing. Like, because they kind of teased at him more like in that Guardians movie with Aisha when
I can get behind this. The one thing I don't like about the MCU is its incontinuity, thanks to them not having the rights to certain characters. Like, I don't like the fact that there's no X-Men concurrently in the MCU or Fantastic Four, and then the fact that I don't believe we will ever be able to have a Wolverine versus Hulk or Wolverine versus Captain America movie, because the timeline in the MCU has moved forward so far that it would not make sense for them to do movies in this style. Then not without the X-Men, they could not say or show who Wanda's and Pietro Maximoff's father was. So it's a lot of unfortunate incoherence in the MCU, brought to you by the fact that they did not have the licenses to certain characters, or they only obtained the licenses that year and have yet to actually cover these stories.
she was like, I name him Adam. And then they said, we'll just leave that alone. And then they bring in Adam Warlock after.
And he's barely
Thanos
a character.
is gone. Yeah, and it's like a dumb, bumbling sort of idiot there. And it's like, what in the world are you doing? These guys...
They made him really stupid.
Yeah, he's a dumb, bumbling
Yeah, he just didn't have emotions. That's why he was able to control the gauntlet.
Have you seen Guardians 3?
No, I stopped watching
after Iron Man. He's just really stupid.
That's horrible.
Yep.
He wasn't necessarily brilliant, but he wasn't emotional.
No.
So he was able to thread the cosmic limit.
Wait a minute. Are they talking about who I think they talking about? Let me see something real fast, dude. Adam Warlock. Oh, he's not stupid. He just didn't have a personality yet. He's not sure of who he wants to be. He's a developing story. He's not stupid or bad or not even good, I would say. I feel like when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Adam Warlock was more of a developing story than he was an actual superhero or a villain.
Yeah. Look, one of my favorite characters, Captain Marvel is what I mean. That was really when I got started to get frustrated
Marvel
with it.
or
Marvel, the Marvel, them turning him into a freaking woman, and him not being.
Is she gay?
What are we talking about? Are we talking about did the original? I'm looking stuff up on my phone because I don't feel like entering the accent. Let me Google this real quick. Let me see if I can type it in like this. Damn, can't get it to come up. I'm trying to see. We are. whatever. I don't take their word for that though.
Hey,
I don't know
Honest
what
question.
shit. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
For the record, this is Adam Warlock in the.
I just can't find the guy. I just can't find him. And but at the end of the day, I don't take their word for what they're saying. Like, they turned Marvel into a woman, and then at the end of the day, so what if they did? And I'm really hoping that they're not referring to Captain Marvel, because that's a whole hate train because it's a woman with superpowers in a fantasy movie, and these motherfuckers can't let it the fuck go.
Middle, leading the charge of the Infinity Gauntlet with the heroes to save the day. He was the main
everybody
hero.
thought he was going to be in
Like,
the movies.
that part in Endgame where Captain Marvel, their version of Captain Marvel, flew down. That should have been Adam Warlock.
It's, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
But
Captain Marvel wasn't even in the books.
no, not at all.
I think this is.
Adam Warlock wasn't even introduced yet. They wrote their own story with their own characters that they had at hand. So, like, you could say, like, damn, I wish they would have had him. I would have wrote it this way. This is just saying that they're mad because a woman was in the movie leading the battle charge. This is all this is, like, really saying right now. I'm not going to let them be vague about it and pretend like I don't know. Like, bro, fucking deal with it, grow up. A woman led the charge in battle. Sometimes they're the best leader in a situation like this. Like, fucking deal with it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, cope harder. I don't know. I don't like y'all tell people. Just watch a different movie. Like, I don't know.
Is when we all started to see the cracks. When I went to see Endgame, the scene where all the women come together, the audience groaned. Because I was in Western Maryland when I went to see Endgame, and a lot of people.
Keep in mind that these people are not like actual, like, because don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with cringing at liberal feminism. Actually, the people I was in the theater with clapped, so go figure that out. But anyways, don't take these people's words for it, because they're not just criticizing like liberal feminism and a concept of like cringe liberal feminism, like girl power, girl boss shit. These people hate the very idea of women having autonomy and power in any way, shape, or form. In any form of art or media that empowers women at all in any way, shape, or form, preachy or not, they will criticize and say that it's preachy and that we didn't need to hear it. Because I guess all these motherfuckers in this room are like dirty incels or something like that, and they can't find a woman that actually loves them for who they are, because they're bad people probably. So they internalize this misogyny, and now it's every single time a woman is on my screen, it's a bad thing.
People were talking about how when they did the women's scene, everyone's like, woo, and they're clapping and cheering. I'm like, not where I was. They went, oh.
That was so corny, man. It was such a forced element. And then Captain Marvel doesn't really even have an impact on, like, they did it perfectly as far as for the finances, and that they hyped the character up. Kevin Feige's like, oh, she's the strongest in our universe. So it tried to incentivize people, which it did. I guess.
Sworn when I was watching this movie, she's one of the people that was like without any extra armaments and shit like that was like sort of in a way holding her own against Thanos, even though I feel like he took her down too. She was like in a way holding her on during the fight for the Infinity Gauntlet in the final scene of Endgame, unless I'm misremembering it. But I really don't think that she didn't have an impact. And it's like, if she was a background character, because she's sort of at the end of the day a secondary Avenger, and she's not a part of the main cast like somebody like Black Widow, or you would think of Black Widow or the Wasp. So if she did hold a secondary role, that's as a result of her being a secondary Avenger. It's been some years since I've seen Avengers Endgame, but at the end of the day, like, I don't really feel like it matters, because these people just hate any form of media that shows a woman being empowered and strong, because they want women to be subservient to them, so it's easier for them to get themselves laid or whatever.
It made $1 billion to see it, but she had really no impact on the story per se. Right, she was like at the beginning of it.
We can learn a quick lesson about conservative propaganda, because I know a lot of my friends ask me how does conservative propaganda works and why I don't take certain propaganda or videos at its word. Let's learn really quickly. So, selling conservative rhetoric in today's world is not only about selling victimhood, like that one video I did a couple weeks back, I believe. conservative propaganda is also about light-handed post-talk justifications for bigotry or animosity that they hold towards certain people. For instance, how can I put this shit? For instance, what if okay, I guess we can just use the example that's being used. Let's say I don't really like women's rights or women in general. You know, I'm like an anti-feminist, right? I'm not gonna go outside and just say like some, you know, I hate women, or, you know, even I hate, you know, blacks, or, you know, any other demographic of people. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build a case of cringe moments and, you know, bad optics for this group of people, and then just say like, well, this thing about all this like this forced feminism stuff is cringe. Look at all this Captain Marvel stuff that they have, or look at, you know, they're trying to like pander to black people, so they made like the Black Panther movie, even though he was an original Avenger and a part of the main lineup at times and led the Avengers. You know, you build a case on vagueness, and then you insert the bigotry, because some people are already bigoted, or some people are vulnerable to the bigotry. So you slowly build your case of bigotry with the post-talk justifications. And like I said, as we can see it here, both of these guys, or all three of these guys in here, hate women. They're not going to just talk about how women shouldn't be in movies, so they're going to talk about how scenes in this movie with women are cringe.
End game, and then she shows up at the end, and Thanos still punches her.
It was the cringiest thing to, like, first of all, what I've been saying from the get-go is if they wanted to do Captain Marvel as the lady version, Robin Wright is the actress for the job, because if you look at Robin Wright and you look at the character of Captain Marvel, you're like, oh yeah, she could totally play that role. Plus, she's got a more of a presence and a like, I don't know how to say this, but a physical body. Brie Larson's like 100 pounds soaking wet. And here she is grabbing Thanos, and he's going, and being, it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, it's such a bad version of the character. I mean, it's a relatively new phenomena that she became Captain Marvel. That was like, what, 2012, if I'm not mistaken. So they fast-tracked that character into the universe for some odd reason.
The crazy thing is, I remember them talking about how Brie Larson was going to take over for Robert Downey Jr. They
didn't fast-track her into the universe. It actually took them quite a while in quite a like space and like a gap in time. They had to come out with 2 MCU movies that year in order to introduce Captain Marvel into the MCU. Not to mention the fact they're not saying this because they feel like Robin Wright could have been a better actor. I wouldn't be surprised if Robin Wright, whoever this white woman is not a conservative grifter with far right or right wing political views. It's just because Brie Larson said a few lines about feminism and I think racial equality, so they're signaling that she didn't deserve and shouldn't have the role anyway, and it should have been given to somebody else. Not because they felt like another actor could have did a better job, but because they just don't like Brie Larson's political views and her political influence, even though the only thing she did was just say a few words about women's rights and what have you, and you know, something about writing. I don't remember what the fuck it was. It was important, I'm sure, but it wasn't important to. It's been like 10 years. She's been like Captain Marvel for like, you know, almost 10 years now. Y'all need to grow the fuck up and leave it alone. Let it go. She's Captain Marvel. Let it go. And it's like, I honestly don't even know what to add here because this is so fucking dumb.
The MCU, Marvel Studios, did this thing where they would take lesser-known actors and actresses, put them in these roles of iconic characters, and they'd instantly be like, they would reach stardom.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you know, they resurrect Robert Downey Jr.'s career. Then you get, Chris Evans. All of a sudden, boom, he's A-lister.
Tobey Maguire. He was kind of well-known.
He's not Marvel Studios.
Oh.
But definitely doing that Spider-Man movie was big, and that was awesome, and everyone's screaming and cheering when all the Spider-Men come together. Spider-Mans, I guess you'd say.
Spider-Mans.
But so, you're right. So, Captain Marvel is not, this character is not some iconic IP like Iron Man, like the Hulk, like Captain America. And then they're like, we're going to have, I bet they were thinking, we can have Brie Larson come in, take this character. It doesn't matter who we do because they didn't.
Captain Marvel is a very pivotal character in comic books and animation and in the MCU movie. She brings in the idea of the Kree and the Skrulls and the Skrull invasion. There's entire plot lines and timelines related to the existence of this character. So what's being said here is that her character is not important now. Like the character herself is not important now. And also, Brie Larson, what?
Think Iron Man was going to be big. The Iron Man was one of their lesser IPs. Spider-Man was the big Marvel intellectual property, but then Iron Man leads the MCU and becomes this multi-billion-dollar character component of the franchise. And they're thinking Brie Larson will come in, Robert Downey Jr. exits, and then she will be the recurring character throughout the next phase, the next arc.
They got too cocky.
They didn't do it like that. What are you talking about? Well, what are you talking about? There has not been any official news or ideas for who is even in the new Avengers lineup because a lot of the main characters have literally died. So there's no word on what the lineup of the next MCU Avengers team is going to be during Avengers Secret Wars. Like there's literally nothing being said here. And throughout the past couple of years and stuff like that, Captain Marvel didn't even, in the movies that she did appear in, she has not taken on a leadership role. Captain America and Iron Man led the Avengers through all the Avengers movies. So I honestly just like I said, this is just I guess I thought we was gonna get a little bit of racism and rewriting of history, but this is just a sexism video, okay?
Man.
But Brie Larson's unlikable, ultra woke, snooty, and just people were just like, well, we don't like her.
Here's the thing, like they got behind, and this is what it was. It was basically a repeat of All New, All Different. If you understand all these characters that they're introducing, including Riri Williams, right? These are recent phenomena. Miss Marvel, even for that matter. Or Kamala Khan, yeah, being Miss Marvel, and that's what puts the MCU in just such a tough spot right now, in that they don't have anything to turn this thing around. Like you look at what's on the horizon, Echo, or Black Captain America. They're doing all that like Sam reshoots Wilson. And stuff.
That happened in the comic books. Did you read the comic books? It doesn't sound like you read the comic books. You think Captain America will like racism? Do you think Captain America will like self-hating good boys, like little fucking apologists for white supremacy, sitting on a panel talking about how Captain America shouldn't be black, when it, like I said, it happened in the comic book anyway, and Captain America passed on the steed of Captain America to the guy that was playing the Falcon. So like I said, like what's being said here? Like I don't understand. Besides you being a white supremacist, why would that make you mad? Because the original Captain America, who we had for almost like 10 to 15 years, died, and he passed on his pedestal of Captain America on to the Falcon. That would not make you mad unless you just don't like black people. Like I said, vague bigotry.
With that, Agatha, the Marvels failed, obviously.
The Marvels made less money than the original Hulk.
You know what it is? It's Stan Lee, man.
That made y'all niggas want to know. Oh, it made so little money. This woman, oh God, oh, this movie about women made so little money. But every superhero movie and franchise in science fiction has been suffering the past year or two because most audiences have superhero fatigue. That's why you will notice things like Oppenheimer and a Barbie movie did really well this year, is because people want movies about subjects other than superheroes. Not to mention the fact that Marvels came out in November, so they could not really benefit from the summertime movie rush. Not to mention this year, even my favorite franchise, Transformers: Rise of the Beast, it didn't do bad because Noah was a black Latino guy, or because Dominic Fishback was black. It's because people have superhero fatigue. People are not going to theaters looking for superhero movies anymore, especially late in the year, and these movies unfortunately are doing bad. A lot of movies that are superhero movies did bad this year, even though some that were pretty good. Like, from a technical standpoint, Blue Beetle was a pretty decent movie, but it still did bad because, again, people are not really in the mood to go see superhero properties at this moment. People are burnt the fuck out after Avengers Endgame, and I want to say the last two Spider-Man movies. People have been going to see these Marvel movies, these large budget action movies from Marvel, DC, Paramount, or any other company, is not because they didn't want to see a movie about women superheroes. It's because superhero movies as a whole collectively are viewed as very fatiguing on the audience after dealing with the MCU for the past 10 years. And then also during the MCU time, remember, we had some Star Wars reboots, we had the Michael Bay Transformers movies, and we had the attempt at the DCEU. So people are burnt out on superhero movies, so people are seeing superhero movies less and less. So don't let these people lie to you and upplay their far right viewpoints, through something. Because like I said, this is like correlation, not causation. People are not tired of woke movies. People are just tired of superhero movies, which is again why Barbie did good, but the Marvels didn't, or why Barbie did better than even the Transformers movie that came out this year. So yeah, this is correlation. Like, these two things happen, but it's not caused because a bunch of people are a bunch of white supremacists like these guys who want women to fucking, I don't know, be in a fucking be. It's so many anti-women jokes I can make about these guys, but I'm gonna hold myself back.
And he was Marvel Comics. It was his creativity that made it good. And when he died,
Kirby.
Jack Kirby came in.
Not
it was a team, but it was those guys. And then it's not the name Marvel that makes it great. It was the people that happened to be working with it.
Well, that's the thing, man. If something like this is going to work, you have to have people that are part of these products, that are part of the creation aspect of it, that actually care about it, right? And that's what it just. I think the audience picks up on this. I think that was why I think that's part of why the Rippaverse is as successful as it is because they can see that, like, this is.
That's not what the fuck I hear. I heard that you was going bankrupt, dude. That the Rippaverse will not sell. I have never seen your shit in any comic book store because I know people won't pick it up because you're a right-wing grifting piece of shit who is trying to capitalize on disillusioned young black men, especially, and sell them white supremacist values so they buy your shitty comic books that you barely put any effort into. Because most other comic books are actually writing about actual issues and relatable stories, while you write about how you love white people or something like that. And especially if we're talking about superheroism and heroism as we know it as a concept is not just some generic thing that sort of kind of happens. It's a known and ongoing topic about the way that the world is and the things that we experience, and just a superhero story about these heroes just love America and our America's perfect, and like, bro, I can imagine your comic book stories are really fucking stupid, and that's why they're not selling well. Not to mention the fact it's hard to get a comic book story off the ground anyway, and I'm not saying that it's easy to sit there and pin that shit down and stuff. But at the end of the day, this guy in particular trying to say some of the most experienced and decorated writers and conceptors are inexperienced is laughable from a black, and I can say it, Uncle Tom, white supremacist grifter who only exists to repackage white supremacist viewpoints to disillusioned nerdy black people. That's laughable.
We're not just throwing out slop just to do it. Like, we actually are invested in this, and I don't get the sense that anybody feels that way about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That the creatives actually care, the writers or actually care about any of these characters it is that they're writing.
I'll tell you why Batman's my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
He has no superpowers.
No.
Batman, I get everyone goes, yeah, but he's born rich and inherited all this money. That's not the point. The point is that Batman's character is this kid who experiences trauma and decides to solve problems by training himself to the peak of human physical condition and mental condition to be the best. I love the general idea in comic book lore. Given enough time, Batman can defeat any villain.
No.
I love with a crossover with Marvel, Batman defeats the Hulk. How could a regular human with no powers defeat the Hulk? He throws nerve gas, strikes his solar plexus.
Don't tell Tim Pool about the story of the Joker. Don't tell Tim Pool about an episode of Batman the Animated Series when Bruce Wayne quiet because he didn't have enough money to give away to all those homeless people. Don't tell Tim Pool about the fact that Bruce Wayne eventually comes to realize that fighting crime as Batman isn't enough sometimes. Don't tell Tim Pool that, especially in Batman Beyond, we see a lot of disillusioned and neglected kids join gangs like the T's and the Jokers because they feel like nobody else cares for them. Don't tell Tim Pool that there's several stories in Batman lore about corrupt capitalist ghouls and mentally ill incel dipshits. Don't tell Tim Pool that the whole point of Batman as a character has been changed from him being just a innocent guy who fights crime to an actual social analysis around the people that we live with.
Plexus causing Hulk to inhale, Hulk passes out. It's excellent writing, how they're like, this idea that you don't have to have superpowers, you don't have to be born with gifts, you can earn your way into being one of the greats. I love in Justice League. They're interrogating Superman.
Are you trying to do a like capitalism apologia type deal with the fact that Batman doesn't have powers while completely missing a point of the character himself at times, being criticisms of rich people in general? You're not really doing that, are you, Tim? You're fucking retarded. And I try not to say stuff like that on recording, but it's just like, that was really fucking dumb. Because you just tried to shoehorn in an apologia for capitalism and the other social injustices that we deal with by saying that, look, this guy with no powers is like, he can do it. Like, really? And then all the other points about the characters and all the other shit that he went through. That was really fucking stupid on your part, Tim.
Man, and so I can't remember who it was. Like, they're interrogating a villain. He's like, "I'll never talk." And then Batman's like, "Let me handle this." Whispers in his ear, and the guy goes, I'll tell you anything."
Yeah.
That what they're showing there is, obviously we don't know what Batman said, but they're showing that even Superman, the most powerful being on Earth, doesn't have the ability to manipulate or understand the human mind. But Batman, through training and understanding humans, can be more powerful than all of them. Not to mention, Batman has the means of taking out any Justice League member. Mm-hmm. He's basically the most powerful Justice League member.
That's why Lex Luthor was cool, too. He's just a brilliant, charismatic dude.
And he represented like an evil...
Lex Luthor was a piece of shit.
Evil version of
corporate
that.
CEO.
Yeah. That's what they'll turn into. Yeah.
Now let's talk about Captain Marvel movie. So
Why can't we talk more about Lex Luthor? And how his xenophobic hatred of Superman led to him using his capital to take down an innocent man that was just trying to make the world a better place because he was different. We can't talk about that. Okay, moving on.
This character, they're like, we're going to make strong lady boss. What's her character arc? She intrinsically has the power. It was an accident. She just has it. And there is a
Captain Marvel's story arc. At least as far as I know it. That's not the point. This is inflammatory language, so the incels will be like there's no fucking reason for a fucking female to be that fucking strong in a superhero show. Yeah, and it's like, it's for people that are very insecure and weak to jerk themselves off to the idea of women being weaker than them. And being non-existent in superhero media. It's pathetic.
man, Jude Law, telling her to suppress her emotions and putting a device on her neck to hold her powers back. It makes literally no sense story-wise. She's a bad person. She robs a guy because he tells her to smile. Batman's the kind of character where if a guy made a snide comment, he'd be like,
This is basically trying to be anti-feminist without talking about anti-feminism. This is basically the you can't even compliment a woman now like argument again. But it's like being thrown back at you through the lens of a comic book where a woman robs somebody for, probably being lecherous and weird. Even though I have not necessarily read the comic book myself, I can guarantee you that there's greater context behind what the guy did or said to cause Carol Danvers to actually like rob him and stick him up.
like, this is irrelevant to me. Captain Marvel's a character when a guy makes us not even a sign. He's like, you should smile more. She robs the guy and steals his clothing.
Yeah.
They think that's something we want to celebrate as a hero. No wonder it's all spiraling out of.
That is a hero. That's because the problem with a lot of you motherfucking right-wing people, bro, when it comes to dating, relationships, and interacting with women, number one, you need to remember and note for yourself, by yourself, that women are not fucking property or props or objects that you can just compliment into giving you what they want. Number two, is very sexist and strange that you feel the need to tell some woman to smile if she's not smiling. You don't know what the fuck she's going through. Why do women have to look like pretty and cute for you? Who the fuck are you to tell somebody to smile? And then when they get a fucking attitude, it's because you being fucking weird. And I'm not saying that, you can't compliment women in public. Go ahead and do that. But don't be fucking weird going around telling them to smile, because that comes across as harassment and ignorance and indifference towards their feelings. Because you don't know what the fuck somebody's going through. How would you like if somebody walked up to your ass and told you to smile? You wouldn't like that. You would be very fucking annoyed. So yeah. Because a lot of the times, bro, when a lot of men, and honestly, let's say all of it, because I have never in my life, bro, I'm 28 years old, I have never told a woman to smile. Never. Now, I don't even tell my own wife concurrently now. I never tell her to smile. But y'all do shit like that because y'all like harassing women. And now, like I said, he's trying to insert it as a post-talk justification for anti-feminism. But it's like, Tim, stop harassing women.
Control.
They don't understand heroism at all. Again, the creatives themselves don't understand that, and I think you got a big peek into that world with the Captain Marvel movie.
These people,
beginning of the end,
woke people, live in a world of I guess I can just say godlessness. They view themselves as the center of the universe. They think their experience is paramount. And
let me stop you right there. Number one, I believe in God. A lot of my work as a left-wing person is doing God's work in the belief that all people should have food on the table and an equal shot to get into the places that they need to be in life. You motherfuckers, if anybody, are the most sinful, insignificant piece of shit on the planet. And now, I'm not trying to play God right now, but I'm just saying, who's more sinful? Like, y'all motherfuckers think that it's justified for people to go hungry. It's justified for people to be homeless. It's justified for people to, be unreasonably persecuted because their socioeconomic identity. You people are fucking greedy. You're constantly promoting and trying to make money off shit. You people are, just bad people. You hate people because of, their differences from you, even though we're all made in God's image. So don't you ever talk to me about, trying to think that I live in a bubble, and don't ever question my faith in God or Jesus Christ. I really don't like it when they do this. Like, oh, they live in a godless world where they think they're the center of the universe. Well, wake the fuck up. Every leftist is not an atheist, and every leftist does not think they're the center of the universe. Y'all the motherfuckers that think y'all the center of the universe, because when it comes to certain things like wealth redistribution or, helping other people, I care about helping the other. I care about even helping people that are lower down than me when it comes to dealing with certain socioeconomic problems. But you motherfuckers are only concerned with yourself and impressing the people above you. So don't you dare ever try to tell any left-wing person, because the most gayest freaking atheist leftist is more godly than any of y'all motherfuckers in this room. And any Christian conservative or Christian fascist. And it's not that you don't have the right to worship God and go to church and, ask for forgiveness and what have you. But it's like if you really want to compare to what Jesus preached and what the Bible says to what we do and the things y'all do, you really think Jesus would like it when he came here and he saw that, oh, you're persecuting people because they're a different skin color? You hate these people because they're gay and you tell lies about them being, abusers and predators. You treat our companions, our women, like garbage, even though they're human beings made in God's image too. You think that God would like we got a lot of greedy, rich, bastards running our fucking world, that is people going starving, even though we have enough, we have the ability to house and feed almost everybody on the planet, but we just don't, because there's no financial incentive into helping people because of people like you and the propaganda that you promote, Tim. So yeah, stop it with the God talk, man. Because y'all only read the parts of the Bible that tells you, something could or couldn't be a sin. But I don't even think Tim Pool is really biblical. But it's just the fact that he tries to invoke, similar to the way Jordan Peterson does it, this so he can speak out to Christian conservatives. He invokes this God Christian language about things that people believe. But I'm sure even like a lot of Jewish people and even Muslim people can relate to some of the words that I just that when I was just spitting a few minutes ago. It's like y'all do not represent the view of what God says you should be doing when you're on this planet. Promoting white supremacy, apologizing for white supremacy, apologizing for greed, teaching people to be ignorant, rewriting history, ignoring all the other teachings in the Bible besides the stuff that you want to hear. So like I don't understand this shit. And it's like and it's been several times where it has so many people that are leftists has been onto this punk ass podcast to explain to him what leftist values are, egalitarianism, freedom, human rights. And it's like he always goes back to this bullshit where leftism is about authoritarianism. It's like about making your kids gay and your daughter marry a black guy. I mean, you've been told several times that it's about freedom and egalitarianism and human rights. So, that there's also that. Whatever.
So that explains why these characters behave the way they do.
Yes.
Where when you, I often cite this, when you look at, there's this great video comparing Captain America, the first movie, with Captain Marvel. And Captain America is a scrawny kid who has a ton of physical ailments, but wants to serve his country so bad he tries to lie to get in. He's got nothing powerful about him but his character. So he is chosen for the Super Soldier program. The great scene where, Tommy Lee throws the dummy grenade, says, I don't want character, I want strong men. And then all the guys run away, but Steve Rogers jumps on the grenade. And then, Stanley Tucci's character smiles, is like, that's the character that we want.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel's the opposite of that. She was a snooty, self-entitled person who just had the power to begin with. And they were like, Jude Law's character is...
Dude, she was kidnapped. And I'm sure that Captain Marvel as a character was dealing with sexism in the Air Force. She was like one of the first few, women that were allowed to fly a fighter jet who was kidnapped from her home, and she just had a whole different story. So I don't understand what the comparison is. These are two different stories or two different kinds. And I'm 100% sure that Captain Marvel's because I need to rewatch her movie and look more into it, but I'm 100% sure I might actually go ahead and check it out after this video. But yeah, Captain Marvel actually had more of a how I want to say, how can I put this shit, dude? She had more of a empowering story for the things that she went through than than he's letting on. And like I said, these are two different stories for two different characters. And not to mention the fact you're ignoring the fact that the whole point of Captain America as a character is because he represents what unity in America could look like. He represents, the will for freedom. He represents anti-fascism, anti-authoritarianism. That's been Captain America's entire story arc through the entire MCU. Remember, Captain America rebelled against the government for Bucky. So, and destroyed the fucking helicarriers and shit. His entire story arc, ironically, with him being Captain America, has him fighting the government against fascism in the U.S. government and in Shield to defend human freedom. So, yeah, we can look at the MCU. We can look at the fact that, like I said, Red Skull was a Nazi with political views probably on the same level as you and Eric July punk ass, and a dirty ass hippie you got sitting in your corner that pops out like fucking Oscar the Grouch. So I don't understand the comparison. These are two different kinds of stories, and I'm 100% sure from what I remember is that Carol Danvers was experiencing a lot of sexism in the Air Force and just in life in general before she was kidnapped and after. So yeah, this bullshit about her just having it easy, being forced to fight a war and being lied to for who knows how long, and then finally making it back to Earth is just like her having it easy. Like I don't get where you're coming from with this comparison. Not to mention the fact in another iteration of Captain Marvel, it's been several times where she winded up getting these powers because I believe she's trying to save somebody else's life. I think that's how it actually happened. Let me see something real quick, bro. I could have sworn. Yeah, because it was a plane crash. She almost died. Yeah, she almost died. Let me see. Engine test goes wrong. She's exposed to consequences. She was literally serving her fucking country. However you want to put it. But yeah, yeah, she was literally serving her country in the Air Force, and she almost died. Like, what could it? And it's like, when I think about it that way, it's like, what could it take? How much more of a patriot do she has to be to like get y'all fucking approval? She literally almost died testing a fucking experimental fighter jet. She was a decorated pilot in the U.S. Air Force. This is stupid, bro. And there is no comparison between their two story arcs about who's better and who's worse. She didn't always have the power. She got kidnapped. And
It's like control your emotions. It's like what is this? What does that have to do with anything? And then finally, in the end, she realizes she had the power all along, but the man was keeping her down, and she breaks the device and then uses her powers. It's just like she's not deserving of this.
Also, it sounds like they wrote that poorly. If her emotions were suppressed, she wouldn't have robbed that guy for telling her to smile.
Exactly. She was just a bad. And people say, no, you got to understand that's her character arc. That she was a bad person and she becomes a good person. I'm like, nope, she's a bad person the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, even in the end, she's still a bad person.
Yeah.
She gets revenge on the man who is telling her to suppress her emotions. It's just.
And then on top of
I don't know how to even respond to that bowl of fucking stupidity. Like, she got revenge on the man for. And keep in mind, this movie came out years ago. It's been a while since I've seen it, and I remember it being quite an okay movie. And these guys are like almost 10 years later still coping with the fact that Captain Marvel became a thing in the MCU. And is mad at her story arc. Let me do a little bit of reading really fast, bro. Let me see something real fast. People. Yeah, she was kidnapped.
that, like, she leaves for what? Because it was technically the movie takes place in the mid-90s, and they to my knowledge still haven't explained really okay, you found out all this new stuff about you. You're actually from Earth and all this other stuff. You've stumbled across this information. And instead of taking care of business on Earth, she goes and flies off for decades or however long that she's gone.
Doesn't age.
And doesn't age, obviously. But no, like the explanation is so corny because she's like you remember that scene in Endgame where Rhodey asks her like, well, what the hell have you been? And she's like, well, y'all already had heroes. And I'm like, what the?
Yeah, they should have explained that she was flying at the.
No, she said they already had heroes because Earth has heroes. Other planets don't necessarily have heroes. Or people to protect them from harm. So that's what she was saying, and it's an initial truth. Didn't you see the original team of Avengers just kind of like standing there when she said that? Like, are you blind? Did you not see Cap and the rest of the Iron Man? Or sure, Bruce Banner was in there, and like there's nothing else I can really say. Like, yes, the Earth had heroes, but other planets didn't, and maybe it was a way to just justify her absence. But if you really want to think about it in universe, there could be planets with different threats. People that want to take the planets over for for bad reasons. People or asteroids falling on the planet, or different planetary invasions, and Captain Marvel could have helped like billions out there when we just had the Avengers here and other heroes here. Like, that's all that was being said there. Like, I don't know, have an imagination, I guess. Like, the fuck?
The speed of light, so time was moving faster for everyone on Earth, but she didn't, only experienced a few seconds.
It was just, hey, she was basically like, granted, I found all this out about my family being from here, but I just went off.
That's the other thing. So in the MCU, they travel by using the jump points, where you can see the grid-like structure open up, and then they jump from point to point. That's how they bypass time dilation. But Captain Marvel can fly faster than the speed of light. So your explanation, I'm sorry, Ian, makes no sense, because in Endgame, she rescues Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man.
It was at the beginning, wasn't it?
And right at the beginning, yeah. It's Iron Man and what's
Nebula?
Nebula is rescued by Captain Marvel, who physically grabs the ship and flies it to Earth. So,
None of it makes it. It's not good. It's right, but again, I think they wanted to put that character over. It was so. It just wasn't organic, man. It was like the character wasn't liked in the comics. Nobody was. I mean, I don't know if you guys knew how many times they tried to reboot Captain.
No, how many?
I did a video. That was back when I was still doing these types of videos, and I think we were up to like 8. Like how many times during that decade of her being rebooted? Like several times. They just wasn't catching on. But I don't know if it was because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They were like, we have to get behind this character. So they were trying to put a character over that nobody was really interested in the first place. And then again, it was just she's disinteresting as a character. Brie Larson is not the most charismatic person in the world. That
worst
character was
casting choice ever.
It was such a they were set up for failure.
It sounds like it was a ripoff of Superman. Like it was their version of Superman Marvel, because they called him Marvel, and it was just like all it was just this lame ass Superman guy.
I think it was more of they wanted a strong female character to write, because you got to understand, around the time she was introduced, you also had Wonder Woman was killing it for DC, right?
That's enough of this bullshit. This is mostly, dude, and it's like, I hate to say this is a sexism video. Them still whining about Brie Larson being a character, and it's been almost 10 years since her movie came out. I don't know. Grow up, get better political views. This video is fucking boring, and I'm done. That was a waste of my time.